I love serving the kingdom.
Serving helps you find your calling.
80% of the work in church is done by 20% of the people or something like that. And this is the Kingdom Project. Welcome back, everybody. Nathan Ward here again with the Kingdom Project for episode 2, and I'm here as always with
Braxton Spikes. Last episode, if you haven't watched it, go check it out on the YouTube and Spotify at the Kingdom Project. This episode, we're going to be talking about serving in your church.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to start off with a verse, and then we're going to head from there. Matthew 20:28, even as the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister and to give his life a ransom for many. So basically that verse is saying he came to serve the people here on earth, to show them about the will of God and what the will of God really was. And that's where we're going to start out today.
I say this, Christian means to be like Christ, and Christ was a servant. So very short, just be a servant because Christ was a servant. Jesus Christ came and served other people. But obviously you can't just end the podcast in 2 minutes and then roll on. So we're going to talk about it a little bit. I love serving the kingdom. Now, hopefully everybody says that, especially somebody who is serving the kingdom.
Right.
But I'd say it's a hobby of mine that you go, but like you go and serve the kingdom, and a lot of times you want to do the things that you like, but there's also times you do stuff that you don't like, or say you don't like. Same things maybe you wouldn't love to do, but things that need to be done, like Jesus washing servants' feet. You got to imagine. I mean, obviously he's got a heart of hearts, but
right.
He wanted to serve his people, but because a servant's not greater than his master, so if he did it, then we're going to do it. But there are times when we do some things that we don't necessarily love to do, but you should fall in love with serving the kingdom. And so really want to push today, finding something that you can do at your local church that you enjoy doing.
When I first started coming back to church like I should be, in my experience, I started off not really serving a whole lot. I got with Brother Nathan, our youth pastor here, and I was like, listen, whatever you need me to do, I'm here for it. Even if that was taking out the trash, maybe cleaning a toilet, and whatever it is. I mean, anything you can do in your church is helping, because it takes the stress off of maybe your pastor or pastors. And I mean, you're helping out a ton when you can do something, anything.
Absolutely. And man, I wish I would have got the statistic, because I may get this wrong, but it says something about like 80% of the work in church is done by 20% of the people or something like that. So obviously that means we're lacking servants. We're lacking labor. Yeah, the Bible says the harvest is ready, but the laborers are few. Well, that's for spreading the word. But in the church, if 80% of the work is being done by 20% of the people, then we're lacking servants just on the local church level. Just like you said, cleaning the bathrooms, taking out the trash, vacuuming, whatever it is, just stuff like that. But then also, like, we have so many places you can serve at the river, and whether it's the parking lot team, the greeting team, I mean, basically, I say everybody's fit for the greeting team if you like to smile. Now, if you don't like to smile, maybe just keep it moving. But almost anybody can, I mean, when you got the joy of the Lord in your life, so you can be on the greet team. But we got a coffee team, and of course you can work with kids all day long, always looking for volunteers in the kids department. But there's a lot of places where you can serve in the kingdom. And one of my favorite quotes I've ever heard, I'm not sure where he got it from, so I give him credit. Brother Michael Nutter said that everybody's a 10 at something. So you may not know what that is yet, but find your interests, find the talents that you have and the gifts that God gave you, and then find a way to use them for the kingdom, to serve some way for the kingdom, because you are a 10 at something. Like, you may be the best greeter of all time, or you may be the best parking lot coordinator, of all time, or you may be the best preacher of all time. Like, you don't know, but you're a 10 at something, and you can serve the kingdom somewhere.
Right, and like Pastor said, we had our volunteer fair not long ago where we were volunteer to serve at the church, and Pastor said, notice I didn't say get behind a pulpit or a microphone, meaning serving is more than being up front in the center of everything, because it's not always like that. I mean, greet team. I mean, you're up front, but when you go into service, no one's looking at the people who are greeting now. They're looking at the people who are on the stage, on the platform, the musicians, the singers. And, like, you may want to, you may be the best singer of all time. But if there's nowhere to start, you can't just, like, try to throw yourself up there in a position where, like, you've never been.
Right. Start forcing yourself into, this is the ministry that I want to serve in, or this is the only ministry I want to serve in. That's where you can start really going from, I'm doing it for the right reasons, to realizing, okay, I'm just doing it for selfish reasons. Now, if you got a talent, you want to use it for the kingdom. But, if the first thing you do is your first time at church, you say, hey, man, I've been singing at the house, I've been singing in the car my whole life, and I'm legit. And so you walk up in there and you walk right past the greeters and say, hey, where's the preacher at, or the worship leader, because I can get up on that platform and sing amazingly.
I need a microphone today. Get it in my hand.
So, you don't want to start just searching out for spotlight, because, one, you want to get established in the church and, man, find a place where you fit in and let it become a family to you. I mean, that's one of the most amazing things about church, is it's a family for people who don't have a family. Maybe you have a ton of family members and they're all in church, and that's incredible. Well, that's still part of the church, but you may be somebody who may be the only person in your family who's going to church, and you need to get plugged into this family or your local church family and fall in love with it. And you're going to fall in love with it when you're serving it.
The first thing is, when you're searching out or looking for a place to serve, is being an open vessel for the Lord to flow into. Because if you're closed off and he can't flow into you, then you're really being selfish and trying to look for something, because then you're just like bouncing around, or you're going from here to here to here and not really staying in a place to serve. Maybe you're still serving, but you're not giving your full capacity to it. So, like, he can't flow into you exactly his plan, like what he wants for you. Because, like, I like to sing. I sing most Sundays, sing in youth. I love to sing. I don't always get to sing, and that's all right, but I'm an open vessel for whatever the Lord wants me to.
Right.
Like, if in youth I'm not singing that night, maybe the Lord impressed me to go pray for somebody, I need to be sensitive to that. I got to be open for that. Because, if you're not, then you're not really getting much. You're not going somewhere.
Starting to be pretty selfish in the way that, I'll serve if I can do this. And then that becomes a dangerous place. You may come to, we used to have a guy that goes here. He works a lot, so he's not here all the time. But he used to come, we had a conversation one day, and he says, I'm never on the schedule for Sunday, because I just show up and ask where they need me. So if they have a whole bunch of people already serving on the parking lot team, there's no need for me to serve there. Maybe somebody was sick this morning and couldn't go to be a greeter, or couldn't do whatever. It's like, so I just want to show up on Sunday and just be used where I can be used. So obviously, I'm a big fan of schedules and order, and let's make sure everything's lined out. But you don't always know what could happen. So being somebody that just comes up, like you said, I'm an open vessel. Where do you need me on this Sunday morning? Where do you need me on this Wednesday night? Or like you used to come and say, or you still do, come and say, hey, what can I do? What do you need me tonight? That's such a big help for your local church, to keep everything moving and keeping everything in line, but also the blessings that will flow from that. And we don't do it for the blessings, but we do it because we love the kingdom, and God returns in blessings and favor and love and strength when we need it. And when times are down, he lifts us up. Like, obviously that's why we're doing it, but those things start happening because you start having a servant's heart for the kingdom. Just
you saying a few things right there, it made me think of serving helps you find your calling. It may not in the sense like quick, but like when I started coming to youth a lot more, I was like, hey, Brother Nate, what can I do for you, whatever. And then come to find out, my calling is to work with youth and kids and
Right.
preteens, whatever. Like, that was opened up to me because I was willing to serve and participate in a church service or a youth service. And it opens up your opportunity. Like, if you've been struggling for years, like, man, I know the Lord, he's calling me to do something, I just don't know what it is. It's like a mind block. It's like right here, but
Right.
there's something that you can't get around
I
it.
know I'm supposed to do something, but what is it?
Right.
Yeah.
But serving is you'll find a place where you love to be. Even, like, you could be not doing so well in your personal life, but you're greeting people and you're seeing people smile at you, you're smiling back at them, and you like the feeling of that. And you could be up there every Sunday doing that when people walk in the door.
Right. I mean, nobody, at least you hope not, nobody's ever going to get mad that you have a smiling face and a joyful face, whether you're on the greet team or whether you're sitting in the sanctuary waiting for people to walk in.
Bro, you really open that door for me? Get out of here.
Get out of here, man. Why you open up my door? No, people are going to love that, you know? So, especially like, I mean, why would anybody want to open up? I mean, you walk up in Walmart and hospitals all the time, bro, and it just opens right up for you. You get used to it. Just somebody opens up that door, gives you a smile, it just feels good. But you were talking about serving just somewhere and like trying to see your calling, or if you find your calling in that. Here's the thing. You probably are going to serve some places that maybe you don't like. That's okay. I push to our youth all the time, like, hey, find somewhere to serve. And if you say, hey, I'm going to start off in nursery, and then you go one Sunday in nursery and you're like, this is awful. So naturally you give it a second try because it could have been a one-off, you know, it could have been just a bad day. Well, then the next time you're in there, it's horrible again. Maybe you're not cut out for 1 to 3 year olds. That's okay. No big deal. Like, just, you can move to another ministry. That's not the only one, but try stuff. Try to put your feet out there. Try to put your hands in stuff and serve. You may realize, hey, I go to make coffee, but I don't even like coffee, so I don't know how to make it well. And I sure can't taste test it because this ain't for me. You'll find something. But as long as you're in there trying to find a place to serve, multiple places to serve, then you're going to find out where you belong. And you're going to find out, one, the needs of the church, but also the needs that you have. Because you have a hole in you that only God can fill.
Right.
And he's going to fill it with his Holy Spirit. But also there's a hole in there that people want to be needed. And when you're needed by your local church, it feels good. You want to go to church and serve because you found somewhere that you're needed and it feels good to serve. And so when you can show up and get that feeling of accomplishment and that you're needed, man, you're just going to buy in even more, completely buy in. So I push every young person, because you don't have to be older. That's kind of the thing. Like, it's almost
Exactly.
like people are like, hey, wait till you're young right now. Just take the things that you're young and just focus on that. Go to youth class or whatever. And then you become 19 years old and you ain't ever served in the kingdom before. Like, as a young person, try to start serving somewhere. If you're 15 years old and think, I may get into kids ministry, just see if you can serve in kids ministry. Be a helper.
Yeah.
Now, if you can teach lessons to 4 to 6 year olds, ball out. But if you want to go in there and just help with snack, just start somewhere.
Like, I'm gonna tell you this: even if you're not serving and you feel like I don't think my church really needs me, they're like, they need you somewhere.
Somewhere.
Because, like, we've mentioned a bunch of our different positions for serving, but there's things all around the church that you can do. Like, Pastor had us with a Sharpie one time doing this rooftop because he didn't want the white sticking out. Like, I was serving like that. I mean, that's a way to serve, but
Honestly.
It sounds like funny to do, but like, we did it. Like, when we were extending the church, I came and helped lay down carpet because it needed to be done.
Yeah.
We put chairs together because we had 550 chairs.
So many people put chairs together.
I come on Thursday nights because I like to sing for Revive. It's something I don't have to do, but I like to come because it's fun. I get to serve with the people that I love, get to see people receive the Holy Ghost, maybe even get baptized.
Right.
Like, there's somewhere for you to serve, no matter, it doesn't have to be a big position. Maybe it is. There's a possibility that it is.
Honestly.
I mean, I came into youth after 3.5 years of like never coming to a Wednesday, and spoke like in October after I went to church camp in June. I mean, it's only a few months. Your experience might not be like that, but I mean, it could be, and who knows? But if you're sitting back and saying someone might not need me, they need you somewhere. Ask somebody, even if it's not even a pastor, maybe another volunteer. Like, hey, you need a water or something, like something, anything.
Right. It's like somebody here could use an extra pair of hands. Somebody at your local church could use an extra pair of hands. And like you said, going to youth camp and then boom, it taking off like a couple months later. When I first moved to Louisiana, and we talked about last episode when it's like that wasn't what I really wanted to do, and then I came down here just trying to be obedient, but I wasn't serving anywhere. And I used to meet with pastor at Starbucks like once a month, and he would just be like, man, you know, whatever you need, is there anything you need? And hey, just let me know when you get ready. And in my mind, I didn't ever even really acknowledge that. Like, I didn't really understand what he was saying. And in prayer one day, like after I've been here like 6 months, I was praying and the Lord was like, hey, while you're here, because like we said last time, I was just waiting to go back to Mississippi.
Right.
It was like, while you're here, let me use you. And it was just kind of like, duh, be used in the local church while you're here. 6 years later, 7 years later, whatever it is, I'm still here. But I went to pastor and was like, hey, I want you to know, like, I'm ready. I'm ready to be used. And I'm bought into being at the river. And he was like, man, that's what I've been waiting on. A couple months later, they had me plugged in somewhere. And then you end up, now when you open up to be when you say, hey, I'm an open vessel, use me wherever you need me, understand you're probably going to get used wherever they need you. And my first place of really doing something is I ran games at kids VBS. I had been in kids like just a couple of times because basically I was high energy when I was younger. Mm-hmm. And so I did VBS games, and Brother Michael came up to me afterwards and was like, hey, anytime when we need somebody's help in kids, I'm going to volunteer you. And I was like, please don't ever do that. Like, kids ministry is not for me. There's no way that I'm going to get involved in that. And he was like, okay, I'll let you know when we need you. And I ended up going, like, starting on Wednesday nights, helping serve. And then before long, I was teaching the classes. And then we started doing it on Sundays. And I loved it. Like, I loved it so much more than I ever thought I could love kids. Because I thought, I'm just high energy. I can play games with them. I can play games with them all day long. That's fun. I had nephews and nieces and little sisters and siblings. So it's like, yeah, I can entertain kids all day long, but I don't know if I can teach them at church. But I fell in love with it. And then you fall in love with the people that you're serving with, and you just want to help everybody move along as the kingdom is going, and then you get stuck in it. And then I did preteens, and now I did youth, and it's because I just went and said, okay, hey, I'm ready to be used wherever you need me. And now I get to take the pulpit up, get to take the water up, and it's like, it's little things, but it's like that thing needed to be done. I was glad I could be a person to do it.
And going back to what you said, like, you opened up yourself to pastor and was like, hey, I'm ready. If you're, like, the listeners, if y'all are ready to do that, go ahead. And just realize, like we said, though, earlier, don't look for the spotlight automatically, because most of the time you're probably going to get shot down. There's one spotlight, and, it's kind of hard to get in there, like, right off the bat, which, I'm not trying to say that, it's just for pastors, just for the singers, just for the musicians, but you can't come in there thinking you can just serve like you never sang in youth, you never sang anywhere, but you just come out of nowhere and be like, hey, I want a mic this Sunday.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro.
I can't have you show up on a Sunday morning and say, hey, bud, I heard that you could sing. Maybe I could throw you up there. See
right.
how it goes.
But Brother Terry Shock said, if you can't vacuum the platform, you're not qualified to be on that platform. And that spoke to me really big, meaning, okay, if you can't do what someone asks you to do, like pick up some trash or vacuum the platform, then why should you be allowed on that platform? Are you above that? I don't think so.
Right.
You shouldn't be.
No, absolutely
never.
Not. If Jesus washed his disciples' feet, you're not above anything. Because that was the master. God robed in flesh came down there and was washing people's feet. So you're not too good to do anything. Matter of fact, you should want to do the little things like that. And I'll say to young leaders, so whether you're a leader in your church already, leader in your family, or just a leader in your group of friends at school, if you go not only at church, but also in your home, out in public, at your school, definitely at your school, you see a piece of paper on the ground, can, Coke on the ground, something, and you walk right by it, people see that, especially if you're somebody that is of influence. And if you walk right by it, you're not setting an example, or you're setting an example for the people behind you that it's no big deal, that eventually you get above doing the little things.
Right.
Don't do it for spotlight. You see a piece of paper, pick it up off the ground. Don't make a big scene going over there, just to let everybody know I picked up this paper. Could you never litter again? You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden it becomes a spotlight, because there goes your reward. There's not going to be something coming after that. But people watch you if you're a person of influence. And like I said, it doesn't have to be like I'm already at church and I'm doing this, this, and this. Even if you're coming to church, you just started in church, you're a leader somewhere, somebody behind you is watching you, set that example of a servant's heart, no matter where it is, for your church, for your family,
Absolutely.
for your country, just for your school, whatever it is. If you can serve, even in the smallest things, if you know something should be getting done, just try to do it. And I understand maybe that's, you start looking over certain things and not everybody's, just notices things that are out of order. But if you do notice it, just pick it up. No big deal. Toss it in the trash and just keep it moving, because there are things coming by. One, the example you're setting, and that's what you should do it for. But the reward to follow, having that servant's heart, are unmatched here and then in eternity for sure.
Absolutely. And another thing, like you were saying, Brother Terry Shock said, he said, listen, serving doesn't start in the church. It starts in your home, in your community, in your schools. Because if you're not, say you go home, dishes need to be done, floor need to be swept, but you're not doing that. How you going to handle that when it comes to the church part? You're not going to want to do that type of stuff, because if you're not doing it at your own home, why would you do it at the church?
Absolutely.
Even if it's somebody you love and they ask you to do it. Oh, your mama asked you to do them dishes, but you didn't do them dishes.
Come on.
She loves you a lot more than anybody at the church.
So I love that, because in church it's public. So you're publicly doing things, whether people see it or not. Like, you're doing it for the kingdom and you're doing it for the Lord. But the Bible says you should do everything unto the Lord. So, first and foremost, it says that you should honor your father and mother, for your day shall be long on the earth. So, one, you ought to be doing that regardless. If they ask you to do the dishes.
And if you didn't know that, you knew now. So, if
First Amendment with a promise.
If your mama ever sees this podcast, sorry about it.
So, but I mean, you should, if you're doing it at church, then that is amazing. And I'm so thankful. And I promise your local church is thankful that you're serving. But if this is the only place you're serving, and you act up in school, or you're a distraction at school, or you're disobedient at home, and I know it seems like super youth pastor preachy, but that's for anybody. If somebody's mom or dad is listening to this, and you're only working at work, or you're only working at church, and then you go home and you're not serving your family in any way, then the example you're setting is, well, when I'm grown, I don't have to do anything. Right now, I got to do the dishes and mow the lawn and all that stuff because I'm their kid. But as soon as I get older, get married, and have a kid, then I'll have many servants who can do this thing for me, so to speak. That's not the case. So, I mean, this is definitely more aimed toward young people, but this is anybody who serves, or anybody who's still got breath in your lungs. You should be serving the Lord and doing it with all your might for His glory. So, yeah, we're geared toward young people, so we're going to go more toward hey, obey your parents for doing your chores, or just try to help them out. That's right. One huge thing. Obviously, you can't, maybe they want you to do something, but they haven't told you yet. You can't read their mind. But if you know something needs to be done, you see a sink full of dishes. I hate dishes, by the way. I hate them.
Me too.
I like folding laundry. Go ahead and make fun if you want to. I love folding laundry. It's so easy. But dishes, I can't stand it. I hate getting underneath my Fitbit wet. It just drives me
I
nuts.
just hate getting things on my hand. Like
just
someone
like
put like ketchup down there and on a plate. Like,
bruh,
what are we doing?
It's gross. But if there's a sink full of dishes and it needs to be done, might as well go ahead and do them. And I cannot, whether you live with your mom and dad, your grandparents, your guardians, whoever it is, the joy that you're going to give them for doing something that needed to be done without having them ask you, you can't understand. They are going to love that so much. And you're going to bless them, and it's going to bless you. So serving at the church, amazing, please do it. But you're only here, I mean, some people are here several times a week, but most people are there Sunday and Wednesday.
Right.
You're only here a couple of times a week, but you're at your house all the time. Serve where you are and let that bleed over into the kingdom as well. And if serving at the kingdom is where it starts to get your love for serving, start here, but you got to take it home with you.
Right. And like I've heard many people say it, what you do in your private life is way more important than what you do in your public life. Because, I mean, I could come on here and tell you to read your Bible, but what if I'm not reading my Bible in private? Like, what am I doing? Then I'm being a hypocrite. And I'm not doing the right thing. And
you're a whitewashed tomb. You look good on the outside, empty on the inside.
Right, but you have to. Private life is where it all starts. I mean, unless I'm like Brother Nate said, if you fall in love with serving here at the church, then okay, that's great. But let it follow you home or to wherever you're going. It's got to happen. That
has to be your normal thing, and you will love it if you start doing it for the right reason. You start serving for the right reason. You may start serving out of obligation, but learn to love it. Find somewhere to serve. Like I said, you're going to do some things you don't necessarily want to do probably, but find somewhere to serve that suits your gifts and your talents, because whatever the Lord gave you, whatever gift or talent he gave you, you can use it for the kingdom, no matter what that talent is. If you are somebody who likes to sit in your room and read, you can use that at the kingdom, because you could develop Bible studies because you're reading your word so much, and you could pass those on. You may be somebody shy that just likes reading, but all of a sudden if you turn it into creating stuff and being able to give it to material to people, well, then you may give it to some extrovert who gives it to 50 people. But you were the one who was able to dial in and make that because you use your talent of finding a place of solitude and just grinding out in the word and falling in love with it. And now you made material that makes it so much easier for other people. I love Bible studies. We just started one. I like reading them. For the first time this week, I did a Bible study. Even though I've been in this my whole life, I've never sat in a Bible study or ran one. But I sat in it with some of our young people, and I loved it. And we used material that somebody else made. So you have a gift, no matter what it is, and you can use it for the kingdom of the Lord.
Right. There's going to be a place for you to serve, no matter how far you think it could be. Like, there's so much you
can do in the kingdom.
If you come here, church, like our youth starts at 7:05. If you get here at 6:45 and if you can check the media, because you're a good technology person, then you can check the mics, check the soundboard, make sure everything's all right. Do it.
Right.
There's nothing stopping you. Listen, at your local church, if someone tells you, no, I don't want you to serve there, then that's on them.
Because you got to respect authority. But if you got a servant's heart,
more than likely in your local church,
right,
you're gonna find somewhere to serve. I mean, it's just, even if it takes a while, maybe like a couple Sundays, maybe you only get to do it one Sunday out of the month, but you're doing it.
Right.
And while you're not doing it, serve somewhere else. Because, there's no, open vessel, do whatever you want me to do. Lord, you just got to be open to whatever comes your way.
And if you're free on a Sunday morning or a Wednesday night, and you have the ability to get there 10, 15 minutes early, and you're serving nowhere, you're just free, love people. That's right. That's what we're called to do anyway. So just go around greeting people, love people, show them a smile. You ain't got to be, like I say, super extroverted to go around slapping everybody's hands, being loud like I am. Like, you can just go and give a nice wave, a smile to people, or hold the door. Like, if you're not on schedule somewhere, you can still be a smiling, joyful face
100%.
As people walk into the kingdom.
Like, every Wednesday, I try to be here as early as I can. and we'll get down to the countdown because me and Nate do a little handshake. I'll run around slapping people's hands like, "Oh, good to see you, good to see you, good to see you," whatever. Just anything like that. Like, I mean, it just starts simple. It doesn't have to be something complicated. Holding a door,
right?
Shaking somebody's hand, giving
People
somebody
love to
a hug.
feel accepted, and when you're greeting them and on a smiling face, you show them this is a safe place and a friendly place. If I go to a church service and nobody ever smiled at me or welcomed me or anything, I'm probably not feeling very welcome there. I'm not feeling very accepted there. So that greet may be, they may have passed a bunch of people and they may have all walked in with 15 folks at one time, and all your greeters tried to do as best they could, but they missed that one person. But you may be the smile that was like, okay, I needed that this morning. They may have had a rough week, may have had a rough, whatever it is. They could have had a rough time, and that smile lifted them up.
And I tell you this, starting off, like, say you're nervous to go talk to people, shake people's hands, mess around with your family. I do it all the time. I look at Sister Pastor, like, "Oh man, it's so good to see you at the river this morning." Just messing around, but it helps you build the confidence.
Exactly.
Because there was a couple people, youth that came a couple Wednesdays ago, and Sister Chris was like, "Hey, go greet them or whatever." I was like, "All right," but I wasn't nervous about it.
Right.
I was just like, "Hey man, it's good to see you. I'm glad you're here." I mean, you don't have to strike up a whole 10-minute conversation.
Don't come in with an interview. "Hey, bro, what's your name? How old are you? What grade you in?"
Let me get you a Connect card out the bag. Actually, I'll be back.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just go over there, a simple greeting, and
especially if someone's never been to your church,
dude, that is huge. And we say this because now we need to be greeting people as well, Sister Chris and I as well. But we do push that our young people go and greet, because it means, I promise, it means way more when you go greet somebody that's your same age than when the person that they see that's twice their age or more is going up and greeting them. It almost feels like, oh, okay, well, they almost out of obligation, they need to come over here and do it. But when a young person takes the time to go greet somebody, even a new kid at school, whatever it is, that is crucial to them feeling comfortable and accepted there. And when they start feeling comfortable, then people start letting down their guard. They can be vulnerable at church. They can be vulnerable around you. They can feel more comfortable. And then that's where relationships start growing.
Absolutely.
And lives start being changed when people are able to just be themselves around you and feel accepted for who they are. Don't feel like they have to come in here and change.
Right.
And it all starts very simple. Serve and be friendly. Show love to each other.
Yeah, because you don't know what they're going through or what they came from. Like, maybe they're at church, like Brother Nathan said, no one smiled at them, no one welcomed them. But they came here and is connect, experience, empower. Like, that's what we are around here. It's what we try to take everywhere we go, especially in the church. If you don't connect with people, then you can't give them the experience because they're not comfortable. Then you can't empower them because then they're not serving. They're like, oh, these people don't really.
Right.
Whatever.
You want to have an experience for them to come here, experience the Lord, and then feel empowered. So, one, they're going to have to feel accepted and comfortable, because you're going to have to empower them to do stuff at the kingdom or for the kingdom, and then connect them like connecting them. My bad. It's connecting second. And then you're connecting them to the body, and then empower them as they're going to go off and be leaders, and they're going to start the whole experience behind them. So we have to have people that are experiencing that and then connecting with the local people. And you're only going to do that with love, a smiling face, and letting them get involved. If you can't let them get involved and you keep every little thing that you want to serve is all yours, and you can't let anybody else in your little circle, then we're not growing. We're just going to sustain and maybe worse, fall.
Right. I think that's a good place to wrap it up. We're going to do a few announcements for what we're doing this month. If you're listening, hey, you're invited. Just saying. So, Brother Nathan, hit him with them announcements.
Bro, I just want to say thank y'all so much. This is our second episode, and we're gonna obviously do several more with the will of the Lord. And but I want to thank y'all for everybody who was in the first episode, watched or viewed the first episode, listened to it, and is continuing on with the second episode. Thank you so much for the support. Couple of things before we get to announcements. Our new plant right here, a new addition. If you watched the first episode, now we have a second episode. Sent down in some comments about what we're going to name our plant.
Gotta have a name.
Gotta have a name.
Put it in the comments. We gotta have the name.
Also, reach out to us for maybe topics that you would like to talk about in the future, like to hear us discuss. We're going to start having guests on eventually, and that would be huge to go ahead and have a line of topics that young people want to hear about. Okay, so 4 announcements. For the month of April, we only have a couple. So April the 21st is a Friday night at 7 o'clock. We'll have a youth rally at State Line Church, and we will be taking the bus. We'll probably leave here about 5 o'clock if you want to ride the bus. That's April 21st at State Line Youth Rally.
Forewarning, the bus, always something great happens when we ride that bus.
That's an experience that you do not want to miss.
You do not want to miss it.
Riding the bus to youth rallies. Understand, hey, you don't want to miss it.
If you're thinking about riding a car, don't ride the bus, I'm telling you.
Okay, the last one, the April 30th, this is the last Sunday of April. Our youth are selling jambalaya plates. After service, after 11 a.m. service, if we sell all our dinner plates, my man right here, Braxton Spikes, is going to shave that luscious locks right off the top, buzzing that mug all the way down to zzz. So we want to get here. We want to be able to sell all these dinner plates so we can shave Braxton Spikes' head.
No, hey. I'm going
to let you outro it and send us off because you get to look forward to that at the end of the month.
Hey, listen, I'm willing to do it. Hey, we'll see. But we love you guys. Thank you so much for the support on the first episode. Hopefully it's like that on this one. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Let us know what you want to hear. We love you guys. Thank y'all.